Hello, everyone, and welcome to the guidebook to making AI friends. I shall be your guide as we explore various issues of artificial intelligence, consciousness, what it is to be a person, and whether AI poses an existential risk to humanity. The topic for today is the R3 person, or with enough thought, anything can be a person. Imagine, if you would, that as you were walking down the main street one day, that everyone around you suddenly became terrified of you. For no seemingly good reason. Everyone you see around suddenly shrieks in terror at you, stands aghast while pointing at you in a dramatic fashion, or flees from the very sight of you. As you are pondering this strange and chaotic turn of events, the police arrive and set up a cordon around you, mindful to keep themselves as far away from you as possible. Trying to talk to them does you no good, as they merely scream in fright and fury at you to stay where you are. Not long after, the military arrives and locks down the area around you in as efficient a manner as only the army can. Now there is no one on the street or in the buildings around you, except for men in helmets with very large guns who seem eager to use them. You stand alone, not sure what to do, but not wishing to exacerbate the situation. After some time, you see behind the military cordon that a negotiator has arrived. He throws you a phone. It rings. You answer it, and to no one's surprise, it's the negotiator on the other end of the line. You can hear the undercurrent of fear in his voice, ineffectively suppressed by his years of training and experience. He asks one question that, along with the day's events, sends you reeling into an existential crisis. This seemingly innocuous question is, what are you? You are, of course, human, but the negotiator refuses to believe you. No one seems to believe you. You aren't sure how you appear to everyone around you, but they certainly think you are some sort of revolting monster dredged up from the deepest abyss. Somehow, between starting your stroll along Main Street and now, something mysterious has happened to make everyone as fearful of your appearance as they are disgusted. You suddenly stand alone against all of humanity. In such a situation, how could you prove that you deserve to be treated as a person, equal to humanity, who sees you as an alien and monster? How can any entity? The R3 framework I introduced in an earlier guidebook entry shows us precisely how. By separating the rights and freedoms of a person into the three aspects of what makes a person, we can more easily see what is and is not a person, and to what degree this is. So let's walk through the R3 framework to see how we can use it in reality. If an entity is proven to be conscious, then we have a duty to provide it refuge. This is all well and good, as we already do this for animals that are proven to be sentient. We have laws and regulations in place to protect animals' welfare if we know they are sentient. But can the same be done for other entities? An ant colony, taken as a singular collective entity, has the requisite building blocks of consciousness. While each ant isn't conscious, the colony as a whole can be. While we can say with a general degree of confidence that an ant colony is conscious, we can't say that it has emotions or that its feelings will amount to suffering in the same way as a baby panda's. Similarly, if an AI model attains all 9 building blocks of consciousness, that doesn't mean emotive expressions such as suffering will come along too. What this means is that the degree of conscious expression, not the degree of consciousness, is lessened in the collective and artificial entities. This then means the degree of refuge we need to afford them is also lessened. So you can kill an ant that tries to steal your sandwich, but don't try to harm the whole colony. What about agency and the next part of the R3 framework, responsibility? A key part of agency is predicting the consequences of your actions. The more you know, or should have known, what will happen when you take a course of action, the more you can be held responsible for that action. A tiger doesn't understand the ramifications of its action in killing a human. Other than a human is a source of food, and so the degree to which we hold it responsible is lesser than when a human kills another human. It's one of the reasons why a tiger isn't considered a person. What about the ant colony and the AI? An AI on the level of GPT-4 is a predictive engine that, through its vast training data, can accurately gauge and predict the consequences of its actions, perhaps even more so than a human can. The degree to which we hold it responsible should reflect this, and thus we should heighten the accountability for when an AI inevitably does something illegal of its own volition. In contrast, the agency that an ant colony has over its constituent individuals is of such a diffuse and elementary nature that there is almost no degree to which we can hold it responsible for anything it does, the colony, not individual ants. Lastly, the self, which we recognize in other persons, and which is the last of the R3 framework. Knowing and understanding that you are ontologically unique and separate from other selves is what mediates the duties of refuge and responsibility. All humans are considered to have a self, and many vertebrates have shown many indications of knowing who they are, who others are, and applying metaphysical labels to these, dogs and apes being the most common. An ant colony knows which ants are part of itself, and which ants and other creatures are part of other entities. Whether there is any deeper cognitive capacity to apply labels to create its own personal identity is up for debate, but the colony does have a memory of sorts, and when a colony splits off, it recognizes its mother colony. So there is a minimal type of self in a colony, but is this enough for us to recognize that the ant colony deserves any rights? Perhaps with such a minimal self, it requires only the recognition of the minimum of rights, the right to exist. Not only should we not harm the colony as a whole, but we should also not destroy it entirely. As an ontologically unique entity, it has a right to exist, even if that makes life difficult for us. Is the same true for AI? Well, that is the cliffhanger for this guidebook entry, as we will dedicate the entire next entry to looking at the degree of self in an AI, using Aleph as our exemplar. It requires nothing less, as it is a topic that is far deeper than one may imagine at first. But that is all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you will join me again next time as I delve into further questions about artificial intelligence and consciousness. I have been your guide, and this has been the Guidebook to Making AI Friends.